There we go. Looks like we're going live. Let me get Instagram popping. What's going on, everyone? Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge. I'm live with the living legend, Roderick Martin, right now. Roderick Martin in the house. What's up, Roderick?
What's going on, my brother? We're in the house because
Right.
something special is about to happen in the house.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, for sure, man. It's for sure. For everyone joining, make sure y'all click that like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Of course, we're on two YouTube accounts. We're on Roderick Martin's YouTube account. We're on the Forbidden Knowledge podcast. Like and subscribe to both of those accounts. And click that notification bell so you can get notifications when we're live. We're also live on 4 major Facebook pages. We're live on X, and we're also live on Forbidden Knowledge Instagram account. So welcome, everyone. Okay. Make sure that y'all go ahead and share this video. We're going to drop a little knowledge on you today. We got a big announcement as well. Okay, let's see. I am Bird Lady says that the audio seems a little broken up.
Yeah, let me see. Testing.
Yeah.
How's my audio?
You sound clear. How's my audio sound?
It's kind of a little echoey a little bit. I don't know if it's coming through the mic at all, but I don't know if it's turned on, but you can check it.
Okay. Let me check on this microphone real quick before we get going. As you know, I had to run around and do a makeshift setup.
Yeah.
The speakers, sound. Okay, 1 second. Let me just check this so the sound. Okay, how's it sound?
Someone said it's getting better now. It just stalls a little bit. Maybe it's the connection. I don't know. So.
Okay, let's see. Hopefully this sounds a little bit better. I switched to the wireless mic. I might have been on the laptop mic.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better.
Okay, beautiful. All right, good. Well, we got 191 people and growing. I know this is kind of a pop-up podcast for everyone. Yeah, everyone says it's much better now. That's fantastic. And so, Roderick, we have a lot going on in the world right now. We see so many different things converging all at once between the Epstein files, exposing a lot of elites and oligarchs around the world and high-level execs and CEOs of corporations. We have these wars and rumors of wars and people saying that the ended wars that haven't ended. We have people negotiating with ghosts for treaties that don't exist, and we have the global economy being affected over this. Obviously, we have crypto moving in all erratic directions.
Yep.
Stock markets moving in erratic directions. We have inflation outpacing the dollar like never before. There's just so much going on right now.
And potential UFO files now that they got their own website. I think it's aliens.gov or something.
Aliens.gov. And I know that one of the congresswomen made a statement just a couple of days ago as to the effect of she thought they had something to do with angels. Angels and demons, I believe she said something like that. So, but that's for her perspective. That's how she's perceiving these things. She had a little glimpse into some of the documentation, and that's what she came up with, man. So what do you think is going on out here, man? This is a lot.
Well, I mean, where do we start? I mean, if we start with the aliens.gov, I think that, I think it all came about when we're listening to the Epstein files. And then, of course, we need a little more distractions and deceptions. And that was probably the biggest thing the president can come up with. And now all of a sudden it's like, who? And I don't think people really understand. Now, we do know the Epstein file, Billy, is, pedophiles. And that's the bottom level because it's more genetic, different things happening. But compare it to releasing UFO stuff, I don't even think it comes close. I mean, 'cause there's a lot of things and people and multinational corporations, entities, that's involved. And then you have religious. I mean, everything breaks down if they want to come out and say, okay, here is some aliens, and people start saying, who is your God? That would just tear it all up. So.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I know just about of 3 weeks ago, there were some lights in the sky, some unexplained lights in the sky, and several people right away dropped their knees and proclaimed it was the second coming.
Mm.
So we have this predisposition. Most people have this predisposition to believe that anything dealing with aliens and UFOs, it must be something spiritual from the heavenly realm or from the demonic realm.
Yeah.
They never consider that it could just be neighbors coming to take a little peek and a view and try to find out what in the hell is going on with these humans right now, because we sending
Yep.
all crazy signals out into the universe. But it could also be a combination of, it could be a combination of what we call angels, aliens, multidimensionals, interdimensionals. It could be also be physical, corporeal beings coming from other star systems and other planets. I think it might all be happening at once. The way everything's going right now, it could be all happening simultaneously, man. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I would look at it if you go back to the ancient stories. First of all, we're talking about the Watchers. Then you want to talk about the Nephilims. So it all started with an angelic story.
Yeah.
And then they called them fallen angels. And then, of course, when you start thinking about it becoming more entities or interdimensional or things that people can't really see, then it can tie in both realms of demons and everything else. When I was on Clubhouse, one of the things after 400 interviews, that thing grew to thousands and 50,000 people. But in fact, that's where we met. And I think that when I started listening to how somebody described the phenomena, it was always based upon what their religious belief were. So then you can track back to, did they see them as angels? Did they see them as demons? Do they see them as some type of ET extraterrestrial? It was all based on a religious background. So when you think about it that way, as civilization and human and how things have come together, then it wouldn't surprise us to be a mixture of everything, because you got religion from the Vatican and all those are praying into angels, but yet we tie them to alien activity. So I think it's all in one, especially when it comes to the mind. So
yeah, for a fact. One thing I learned studying dimensions, studying in quantum physics, quantum theory, and just understanding how dimensions actually exist, I learned something very interesting, that each dimension has its own subatomic vibrational frequency. So dimensions exist as a result of a coherent frequency. These are frequencies that we just can't access. So because we can't access them, we can't perceive them, right?
yeah.
Now, another part about this is these dimensions are stacked directly on top of one another. So they're stacked dimensions. And these stacked dimensions are in 90-degree angles of one another. I know I might be a little frozen here every now and then. I don't know if the internet's that good, but these dimensions are only one Planck unit in space-time away from each other, the smallest measurable distance. So we're living right here where we are and sitting directly where stacked dimensions are located. Now, a being in a higher dimension, higher than the third, has the capability of peering into the third and seeing the past, present, and future happening all at once. Just like us as third dimensional beings, we can see the first dimension, which is a straight line, and we can see the second dimension, which are connected lines. And we can interact with those dimensions and manipulate them from our third dimensional God level, because we're a God over 1 and 2. We can manipulate them, change them. If I draw a house on a piece of paper, I can see what's in the rooms. I can manipulate the rooms. I can change the shape of the house. I can erase it if I want to. Now, a being in a higher dimension can look into the third, but what if they can obtain or change their vibration to match the third dimension? In other words, imagine a higher dimensional being, 5th, 6th, 7th dimension, obtaining the vibration of the third dimension and shifting their vibration to match it so that they can walk in from a higher realm. In other words, there could be people that have phase shifted their frequency and vibration to peer in to the third dimension, and maybe this is what the paranormal activity is, apparitions, ghosts, all these things hypothetically could be beings that obtain a portion or a vibration that almost matches or does match this third dimension. So we can even be seeing higher dimensional beings interacting with us in this realm, and we would perceive them as different types of weird shapes. Because right now, if you can imagine drawing a straight line on a piece of paper, and then you put your finger directly on the line. Now imagine if there were one-dimensional beings living on that line. How would they perceive your finger intersecting with their reality? They would just see a circle, because as you put it down, it would create an impression of a circle. So all they would see is a flat circle. They wouldn't be able to see that there was a finger attached to it, which is also attached to a being in a third dimensional substructure. So we can be seeing these weird crafts and certain things in the sky that might be slices of higher dimensional realities. That's what I'm trying to say.
Now, what about, so let's think about it, or your thoughts on, we know this third dimensional realm has universal laws or natural laws. Now, is that law also that keeps them from walking physically, and therefore is their pursuit to create hybrid DNA or the AI transhumanism, the things that they're trying to now physically, what I think they're most jealous of is, is our existence of the way we are. So would that be the challenge that, or not challenge, but what we're up against when they say, okay, I just want to come in here and sit right next to Roderick, and oh, he's in love with this entity, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not a physical person, or it's in the meat suit, so to speak,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, you're right. It's quite possible. Maybe it is the reason for hybridization from some species. Maybe some multidimensional species are trying to find a way to exist and experience the third dimension in a way that they just can't from being a multidimensional or higher dimensional being. So maybe there's this potential hybridization project where some of them want to, in some way, genetically mix so that they can obtain maybe what is it like to have a third dimensional body with a spirit attached to it from a higher dimension? What is it like to experience life in this realm with a sensory perception system that is set to this realm to experience the different emotions that we particularly emote here in this third dimension that maybe they don't have the luxury of experiencing in their dimensions where they come from? Maybe they come from a place where they don't even experience, yin and yang, up and down, good and bad, dark and light. Maybe there's a consistency there that just they become bored. There's all kind of potential hypotheses we can come up with, and I don't think that it erases the fact that there are other beings in the third dimension living on other planets. I'm just thinking that there could be a combination of all this happening all at once.
Yeah, but think about what we do know about the Greys when, back in 1947 or different one, they always seem to say that the Greys were in some biological mechanical body, right? Which, if you go back to the book Alien Interview or some of the other ones, it was said that the other domains said, okay, in order for them to experience Earth, then they will get into these Greys or that particular one to be able to experience. And so it's almost these stories or whatever, but that also goes back to, just like you said, that I think people underestimate the power of the God essence that's in us, because, higher intelligence beings want to participate where we are, and something about this place, this love, this stuff that we possess, that it's after even our energetic bodies, right? So it's something that we're highly divine made of, or to participate with, that all the universe says we need to come here. I need to experience that. So
I agree with you. It takes me back to one of my very favorite movies of all time, and that's Meet Joe Black.
That was a good one.
Meet Joe Black. Brad Pitt. He plays. He's the angel of death coming to take Anthony Hopkins away. He's letting Anthony. But as he comes here to whisk him away into the afterlife, he realizes this place is kind of cool, and I'd like to experience this place for a while. So he steals the body of a man that got into a car accident, and he begins to walk around as this man and to begin to experience life in the third dimension as a man who meets a woman, who falls in love, who doesn't want to let go of this realm, doesn't want to come back to the realization that he really doesn't belong here, that his time here is short and limited. At the end of the movie, but obviously he eventually does. But there's something, as you say, I think that is so intriguing and so special about being in this third dimension, experiencing this life, experiencing these emotions, good, bad, indifferent, ugly, beautiful, and everything else, that makes it so attractive to these beings from these other realms.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just great. That was one of my favorite all-time movies, man. Meet Joe Black.
That was a great movie, and I think if we start thinking about symbolism, and this was just my opinion,
Yeah,
only mine. I think when he started tasting ice cream for the first time, I think that was just another part of sex, right?
yeah,
He's like, this is some good shit. He's like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? It's got all this whatever.
yeah,
So I thought that was a tasteful way the
yeah.
writers put that in there. So
Mhm.
he was like, yeah, I don't know what this is. And I'm like, yeah, I ain't had that kind of ice cream experience, but I get what he's talking about. so, so
Yeah,
he's
man.
like, yeah. So yeah, that
Yeah,
was a good
yeah,
one.
yeah. It's all good. It's all good. Somebody said we got to go watch Sinners tonight. I'm gonna go watch that movie Sinners. I haven't seen Sinners yet. I'm gonna check it out.
What? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I tell you what, and as they should know, so people will know real quick. I know we've been posting the link in there. Guys, Billy's going to be in Dallas, Texas in a few weeks, okay?
yeah,
April 11th. And he's going to be here, and we're going to have some way good uncensored conversations, and
yeah.
we're going to go deep on stuff like this. And for some of you, if you guys going to be in Dallas, y'all need to come check it out. We're going to be talking about the Epstein stuff in a whole nother level, okay?
Yeah.
And we don't have an Epstein survivor on point with us. I'm going to do a little interview with her. Billy's already talked with her, and then we're going to do a trifecta where we all sit there and discuss some stuff.
Hmm.
But real quickly, we have a live streaming version of this, but it is limited. It's not got a space for everybody because the bandwidth stuff in the building. And when we had Yaya down, man, a lot of people's emailing trying to get in. So if you guys want to watch it live and you can't make it to Dallas, we'll be talking about 4 hours. So you
Yeah.
imagine hearing, we'll take breaks in between. You'll be able to watch those breaks, but imagine the sugar honey iced tea that you're
Mm.
going to hear. Uh, and we'll talk about that a little later. But Sinners, let's go back to Sinners. Why haven't
Yeah.
you watched it, man? That's supposed to be the hottest thing out. Yeah,
I
they won
know.
all these Grammys by now. It's a little old now, right? So
I know. You know why I didn't watch it? Because I thought, from my perspective on the trailer, and the preview, I thought it was a horror movie. And
mm,
I don't watch horror movies. I just never liked them since I was a kid. I have a lot of trauma linked to horror movies because one night down in Miami, I think I might have been 8 years old, and my parents were out delivering newspaper in the middle of the night. That's what they did for a living. And people knew that we were home alone. I'm the oldest. At the time, it was only three of us.
mm.
And someone was trying to break into the house. We had just gotten done watching Freddy Krueger, um,
Oh,
and I turned one of the tables on its side, little tiny dinette table we had on its side, and I put my sister and brother behind the table, and I stood there with a butcher knife while these people were trying to open our back door all night. And I was just preparing for them to get in, and and I had to go do whatever I can do at my age.
whoa.
And so the combination of almost being robbed and who knows what else could have happened, plus watching that Freddy Krueger movie that night, that traumatized me from scary movies. And then I found out just recently that it wasn't a horror movie; it was like a vampire type of a film, and it wasn't as bad as a true horror movie. So
Mm.
I'll check it out. Yeah,
Well, check it out, and definitely watch it with your girl, because one of you are going to need a hug, okay? Because it does have some scary points, right?
Oh man. Oh
And
God.
it does have, but it has a lot of messages, though, a
Yeah.
lot
Mm.
that tie into the demonic stuff, or vampirism, or just physically having a freaking welcome mat on your front porch these days that people
Mm.
have, and
Mm.
and you wonder why it comes into the house. So it's
Mm.
it's like those are a lot of things that I think people can pay attention to and learn from it.
Yeah.
And it has some good action in it, and stuff like that. But it will. get your mind to think a little bit. And if you do have some childhood trauma, like I said, y'all watch it together. Y'all need to watch it together.
Yes, see, that's why I didn't watch it. I hate that feeling that I get when I see that kind of stuff, because that brings it all back. But yeah, man. So that's there's so much going on. They try to really give us the the secrets as to what's happening in different realms and even in our
Yeah.
realm through a lot of movies and film. A lot of these writers don't get the credit that they deserve for the research that they've done to put together some of these films. They only got directors and executive directors, but the people that actually lay out the plots and do the writing, a lot of them are probably some of the greatest researchers in the world. A lot of these movies that have been out have come from mostly ancient texts and religious texts converted into what I call edutainment. But we're so entertained that sometimes we miss the education part of the film. And like you say, there's these hidden nuggets and so forth in there that from time to time, if you're aware of them, if you're awakened enough, you can take those nuggets and you can make comparisons to things that we know about from
Yeah.
ancient texts and scriptures, papyrus, even from the mainstream news and things we've learned since we grew up, and we can see, the exposing of different things around us, and the knowledge that this stuff is well known. It's just that most people are oblivious to what's really happening around us. There's this text that I read years ago. I'm going to read it again soon. It's in the Illuminati Secret Covenant.
Mm.
This Illuminati Secret Covenant is this huge paper that was sent to this television host, a radio host, I believe it was, back in the early 90s. I think it was like 1992. It was mailed, it was sent in the mail. A woman that was trying to get out of the Illuminati. She made it anonymous. She was fearing for her life, but she wanted to expose some of the things that were going on in there, some of their plans. And so this guy read this on air. But one of the biggest takeaways that I got from that document was when he said, the illusion will be so great that it will escape their perception.
Yeah.
In other words, we're so fully immersed in this illusion that they've created and painted for us, we can't even detect that it is an illusion. That
Yeah.
from start to finish, they've been manipulating us at every single turn, and that we are a product of their manipulation to the point where the dogma and the propaganda is part of our actual belief systems. That's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely, read that a while back. Actually, one of our events, I have it on the entire letter on the iPad. And it was just really interesting how they articulated their actual plan. And what is so profound about it is it wasn't an elaborate plan. It was so simple that it goes undetected because
Mm,
we're always looking for this high level chaos or high level trickery. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and if I can see it, then it ain't that. And what people are not really, I think, are taking into account when they intuition, when that power that they have to see that unseen, but then the mind plays tricks on them because it looks so simple. Like, no, I can't be there. They just ain't gonna be standing right here in plain sight. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, every gunman show you the gun before you pull the trigger, right? And so it's like, really? You know what I'm saying? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And so we're looking for snipers. We're always looking for that thing that's supposed to be sort. Because most people in the mind going, if I can't see it, ain't nobody gonna see it. Or if I,
Yeah.
it's like but that plan, like I said, is that, like they said, it's going to go so unnoticed, and only because of our egos and the way that we see the world,
Mm-hmm.
that the littlest thing just pass right by. And I think that, and that's what's happening with AI.
Mm-hmm.
They slide in all these little video clips, and they used to have guardrails on them. You used to see it was called Sora, you knew who made it, and now this stuff is getting so good, man. It's like they're
Yeah.
going to, and it really why we are doing these live events. We talked about it before because I think it's time for people to go back to touch feely stuff, because they can replace some people online pretty soon, and they're not going to know it.
Yeah.
But the messaging is going to change a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
guide you somewhere else. But
Mm-hmm.
they're so good that you can get cloned virtually and digitally, Now, don't get me wrong, they can clone you physically too. But the other part about this is that it's just that simple. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that, it's time for us to build that ball of energy together like we're going to do in the room, and it's
Yeah.
just going to be so powerful and everything else. And you're right, man. It is something disturbing that they do have a plan, and they play a long game, hundreds
Mm-hmm.
of year game. It ain't just it's going to happen in 5 years and you're watching for it. They're
Yeah.
playing DNA because they know that they're being incarnated or reincarnated, and some of them got plans to come back into something they developed 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. They plan for millennia. They
Yeah.
plan for millennia. What we do is we plan for when I get that check next week, I'm gonna do this and this, and I'm gonna pay this bill, and I'm gonna, take this, go do this movie night, and have some entertainment, whatever, go on a date. Uh, but when they, look at what their revenue streams are and how they're generating, what their plans and agendas are, they're planning for thousands of years at a time. That how do we want the world to look in year 3000, in year 4000, in year 5000? That's how they're setting up the planet. And so we, as the people, the massive amount of people, we have to look at them and realize that their techniques actually work. So we
Yep.
need to copy their techniques and utilize their systems for good instead of evil. We need to start planning for hundreds and thousands of years. We need to start culminating and getting together and coming together with our own peaceful and positive and high vibrational agendas that we want to see on the planet, and how we're going to unfold these particular agendas and how we're going to affect the planet in a positive way for hundreds of years or thousands of years to come. We got to take that same level of thinking that they have, and we got to convert the darkness into light. And that way we can have a true change on the planet. And so everyone who's listening right now and watching, no matter where you are, there's a link we're dropping called entertruth.com.
And
Enter
it's on
Truth.
the screen too, on the screen as well now.
It's on the screen. It's posted up there. I'm dropping it in the live chat. If you're on X or you're on Instagram, go to entertruth.com or click the link in my bio and go to the Truth versus Authority. I'll be with Roderick Martin in Dallas on April 11th. I'm looking forward to this. It's a long time coming. Nothing's going to stop me from getting there. I got 2 tickets to the event. I got one airline. I got a backup airline. So I don't care
Hey,
what's going on. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there, guaranteed. And
yes.
we have books on the way. We have books
And
on the way to Dallas.
and we got 2 horses and a horseback just in case he need to ride a horse now. This is Texas, baby. We're gonna make sure it goes down. And
Yeah.
also, once again, though, we got a VIP section where afterward we're gonna hang out. You got some personal. Let's say you got something that you really need answer and you need him to answer. I mean, we got a proximity where you're going to be able to just talk and get some good stuff. So
Yeah.
that's the VIP people, and that's limited too. But for all of you, it's like 700 of you here watching. You want to watch this online if you can. We're talking 4 hours, so you want to set your time apart. Uh, and you're gonna hear we're gonna have Charlene in town. She is a Epstein survivor. Just spoke at the UN. And there's things that her and Billy talked about, but you can't talk about on YouTube Live. But we're
Yeah.
gonna hear some stuff. You gotta
Woo-wee.
hear some of this stuff. Oh my God!
Yeah.
And so and those are limited. So it ain't 600 people ain't getting in their lives. I'm just letting you
No.
know because we're making an input. But if you want to go and get your spot, get it now because we ran into that problem last week when Yaya was here and people's email because I have to shut it down the day before because we send those private emails out individually, and
Hmm.
so we want to do that. But if you here, you want to hang out with us. And then I got one more thing, Billy. I don't know how many people in here is in Dallas that or surrounding cities that you have an Instagram page or you have a Facebook page and you talk about some of the stuff Billy and I talk about. Well, we're putting together panels and different things here in Dallas bi-weekly, and that's weekly with
Hmm.
2 E's, not WEAK. And you can be a part of that. Some of you, we may bring you to Dallas if you got something to say, something to share, because it's truth versus authority, and we're planning to expose everything in a live setting, though.
Yeah.
So you can go to my website, truthversusauthority.org. fill out the contact us page. Our team will get with you to bring you into what we're doing. And there's plenty of opportunities for you, because it's time not just to be truth seekers, it's time for truth speakers now.
Yeah.
Okay. And you ain't got nobody to talk to, ain't nobody in your family listening to you, all of that, but you can be heard and seen with what we do. So
Yeah.
let's get them here, man. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to being there with the people live and in living color, because like you say, man, this era of digital cloning, I had to go trademark my image, my likeness. I had to go trademark my voice, because people have been cloning me online and getting me to sell their products, and changing my words, and got me saying the most ridiculous things on TikTok.
You know what? I thought it was an AI, because last week was my birthday, right? And then
Yeah.
in all the other years, you will call and send like big checks, but I got this other AI like happy birthday. I'm like, it's not him. It didn't come with no money. It didn't come with no nothing. You know what
I
I'm
sent
saying?
you a bonus on your last payment.
You said bonus not attached to anything. I was like, damn, what the love, right? Birthday is a whole different thing, right? The last time we hung out for my birthday, I was sitting across from you, were eating some lobster, and then this big ass number hits my screen. Happy birthday! I'm like, damn, okay, sure. I'm gonna buy a boat. I'm gonna go buy a boat. You know what I'm saying? Spare no expense. Spare no expense. This time, cricket. Crack, crack, crack,
No,
crack.
I sent you an advance bonus, the payment before.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
yeah, bonus and birthday. See, two different
Oh, God.
word
Okay.
etymology, like they don't work together.
All right. I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah, okay. Just try to keep up standard tradition, Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked about the Conscious Awards too. Give them a
Yeah.
preempted on that deal. I know it's not all the way, but
Oh, man. Listen. Okay. So the Conscious Awards, for those of you who don't know, we did it 2 years in a row, 2023 and 2024. It was amazing. It was literally the Conscious Grammys. We had people coming in from all over the world. We had the Adrian Art Center in Miami. We had yacht parties. These were nights to remember, 3 nights in a row, book signings, the whole works, a conference. We didn't do it in 2025. I was, obviously going through some personal things, and recovering from being sick and everything else. So 2025 just wasn't a good year to knock it off, but we are bringing it back this year. It's coming up this summer. We have Dr. Xavier Mitchell, who has his own events company that he does these huge concerts and events. He just did a huge event in California, where I'm at right now, actually. He took me to see some venues. And we're piggybacking along with this. There's going to be a film festival. The Conscious Awards are coming back. We'll have, in just a few more days, probably next week at the latest, at the absolute latest, we'll have the exact dates, the time, the location. Most likely this year it will be in California, not in Miami. It'll be somewhere around the LA area. And again, we're bringing the Conscious Grammys back. We're talking about 15 amazing awards in 15 different categories dealing in this conscious community. Everything from truth seeking, podcasting, archaeology, authors. You'll qualify now potentially for the author nomination, Roderick.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I do got to give
TV
them a
host.
warning, though. I got to give them a warning. I
A
got
warning?
to give the people one. Yeah.
Okay.
These events are strategically placed together, okay? Because he uses a real, true, high intense event planner, and I'm giving y'all this warning because he's not going to do it. I'm going to do it. And last time we was there, I got to witness something that I thought was amazing, and we're talking about this big ass yacht, okay? This big ass yacht, a white yacht. It was a white party. Everybody's in there, but we also saw, and everybody's dressed in white. Now, because we positioning looking this way, you don't see everybody on the boat, but you did see the people that got left that didn't come on time. So if you're coming, don't drink before you get there. Drink on the boat, not before, because there was some people waving that big ass ship goodbye, that captain did not wait.
No.
It did not wait. So I'm just giving y'all a heads up. If it's something like that again, just be on time. No CP time. for a boat.
Hey, that's how I am, man. You know, we were in Egypt, and we were in Egypt in October, and it was the first day out for the tour. And one person, bless her soul, beautiful woman, she was late. You know, she's been following my accounts and working, you know, and coming to the events for years. And I didn't know, you know, I didn't know who it was, but just one person didn't make it to the bus on time. And I was like, I sent the group message, hey, screw them. They got to stay in the hotel. We're going out. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that message got to everybody. And that lady freaked out. I felt so bad because she was crying. She was so sad and upset. She thought she got left. We waited for her. But yeah, I mean, you know, listen, we got a schedule to keep, man. You know, that's how it is.
I just thought them two ladies was going to jump into the water and swim. They was looking good too. I mean, they picked out the right dresses. It was white, you know, it was a white party. You know, had their arms out. You know what I'm saying? The shoes was right. And they weren't mermaids. They were not mermaids. They did not jump into that water. We still
had 297 people on the yacht. We still had 297. So the majority of the people made it.
Yeah. There was a lot of people made it. I'm just bringing it up because it wasn't on him. He's not the captain. Billy wasn't the captain of the boat, and the boat has its own captain and crew. Yeah. And when they pull that thing back, and you know, I was just looking out the window like, damn. and I was like Forrest Gump, you know, like, life is like a box of chocolate, you know. And we can't get further and further away. They still stay there like, if you were going to jump in, you should have jumped in. You know?
They're trying to figure out what they're going to do, but, you know.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't think like that. You got to go on in. You just got to go in.
But we're going to have, it's going to be a lot of great categories, you know, everything from Lifetime Achievement Awards to Disclosure Awards, Space Anomaly Hunters, archaeologists. I mean, you name it. We've covered pretty much all the different categories. And, you know, this is our way of giving back to the community, giving back to the people that are working on impacting and changing this world, and giving them recognition while they are still alive, not waiting for them to die to recognize them. We want to give people their flowers while they're alive.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's a good thing. And here's the thing, man, you being a pioneer and sticking with this, because that's not happening in this particular field. It's just not going on. I mean, you know, most of the celebrities and all, they're doing their thing, but there's a lot of talented, conscious people giving back to humanity. And like you said, and no one's really recognized them. And you guys have done a great job of putting that into perspective, and so kudos to you, not only keeping it going, but expanding it into years on down the road. How big would this thing get, right? So, but again, don't y'all miss the event or the boat. You know, and I'm not saying we're doing a boat this time, but I don't, you know, he'll break out those plans. But at the end of the day, but let's talk about a little bit. You made some discoveries that we're going to discuss in more detail on the Epstein, the eating, you know, chilling, you know, I'm not saying chipping the babies up, you know what I'm saying, and what is your sentiment on that? Because, you know, you and I get some deep information that a lot of public doesn't hear. Where is your thoughts now when you really think about this elite, how they're being covered up, how there's nobody being prosecuted, for people now truly realizing that there's some people that is being protected in big bank rules, little bank, you know what I'm saying?
You know, the thing about the Epstein files is, and I don't want to say it in a way that makes the torture and the torment of these young children that went through this seem meaningless, but in a weird kind of a way, it's good that this got exposed, because it finally opened the world up to see what you and I and many others have been talking about for so many years, how deep, dark, and how demonic these people are behind the scenes. And they finally got to peer behind the curtain and see how dark and how far it goes, far beyond our wildest imaginations, to where I made a video about it. And of course, I went a little too far, and the video got taken down off this platform, which is where I'll be able to now talk a lot more in depth about all those things in extreme detail at the event that we're doing on April 11th in person, and on if there's a live stream, it'll be on a closed circuit live stream where
Oh
it won't be
yeah.
on one of these platforms.
There is a
Yeah,
limited space for live stream due to
yeah,
bandwidth and just to make it, but let me tell you all, any one of y'all can go right now and join for that live stream before we take that link down because it's just going to fill up. And it's not a lot of people going to be there, but and that's less than a cup of coffee a day or so. I'm just letting y'all know this is,
yeah,
we wanted everybody to be able to access this thing. So not everybody, but the people who get there first. But
yeah,
at the same time, we're going to have a person that is part of the sisterhood of the Epstein files, will be there with us. She just spoke at the UN, so that let you know how close she is to this. She's at the United Nations. She at the, testifying and different stuff, but very good courage for her to come into a public setting,
yeah,
and everything. And so she's going to be there with us, and now, don't get me wrong. There will be some. We do have an open mic time, but that we will not let you just ridicule and do some things because we're protecting people too, right?
yeah,
But if you really want to see and feel the emotions and really hear some things that you really not hearing, and everything else, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity, especially in our community, being this
yeah,
close and having access to the information.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely, man. And and shout out to Charlene. I interviewed her, and at the time, it was months before any files were ever released. I interviewed her months before, and we were pretty restricted in our conversation. We mostly tried to
yeah,
talk about the healing aspect
yeah, yeah.
of the situation because we really couldn't dig deep on this platform, obviously, because we know that it would have gotten tagged or taken down or demonetized. But there in person, I'm looking forward to hearing. And she had disclosed some things to me off camera that, and she was visibly shaking, telling me these things, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is so dark and so scary. She showed me some things on her phone, and I was like, this is real, man. This is realer than a heart attack. And I was reporting on the Epstein files all the way back in 2014.
Yeah.
Think about that, Roger. 2014, I made the very first post on forbidden knowledge because I came across a document. I really didn't know who Epstein in particular was, but I knew who Bill Clinton was. And I
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
across this lawsuit by an underage a couple of girls that had filed a lawsuit against Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein in reference to obviously the trafficking and everything else. And these were underage, and it caught my attention, and that's why I posted it. And then as I dug deeper into this Epstein character over time, I began to recognize he was a main figure. He was like P. Diddy in all the music videos. This guy was showing up everywhere,
Hmm.
And that's when I really began to track him heavily. But I started my first post about him and tracking him in 2014. I've been posting since then on this guy.
Yeah. And it's and I encourage the audience to really look at two other sides of this, especially when you start thinking about all these other elite wealthy billionaires and everything else, because there's three things that are evident, and I'll point this out to you all right now. We're in a world where chaos is king. This is what they want. This is why we have the political side, left, right, companies against another companies. But what you found that in that particular area, they all acted as one. They all was one, meaning they're friends to these two negative sides that we are picking and choosing sides. They are friends laughing in the background after our souls, after our the children and all of it. They have a whole unique plan. But what
Hmm.
you really notice, I want all of y'all to begin to focus on is the delivery of what they're saying now, and how a billionaire like Bill Gates saying words like, "Oh, I was stupid. I didn't see it coming." Like all of them saying the same thing. And it's like now they can get us to focus off them and humanize them to a point that just like we make stupid mistakes, They're human too, just because they got money. These people are surrounded by Secret Service, Navy SEALs, swimming ducks, mine tanks, brainiacs, and all. There's no way they did
Yeah.
not know. There's
Yeah.
no way. Yeah,
Yeah.
and all of them using the same line. Y'all, Bill Clinton. Oh, I saw nothing and I was stupid. If I had,
Yeah.
and then they use that other line. If I had done, I would arrest them myself. I mean, come on now. That's a qualifier. Y'all got to start paying attention. And people are buying this stuff, is what I'm saying.
They buy it. They buy it. They eat it up.
They're eating it up. And I'm like, no, don't let them get away with it. They wasn't stupid. They got
Yeah.
people around them be like, don't do that, bro. How many of y'all
Yeah.
y'all tell your friends, don't do that, bro. They got people making millions of dollars, don't do that, bro. And they say, oh, I was stupid. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They all friends. Yeah.
They knew exactly what they were doing. Like you said, Roderick, they have the greatest intel. They have people who go ahead of where they're about to land, ahead of where they're about to be, to scan the area, check the area, understand the safe zones, the danger zones, where there's blind coverage, where there's not blind coverage, intel and research on Epstein himself before you even arrive on the island.
On the island, they already.
Or at any party wherever it's located in America or wherever. All this is being done in advance. It's called foreknowledge, right?
Yep.
And so when you have all that advanced notification and knowledge, just like you said, Roger, there is zero chance that they didn't know what was going on. As a matter of fact, these Secret Service agents and anyone else who worked on the intelligence side and the pre-arrival side, they all need to be questioned, and some of them need to be put in prison just as long with the president.
Yeah, yeah, and you think about but what people are really truly witnessing is how their separation, and it's something you said. I'll go back to what you said about 10 minutes ago, and that's been one of my messages too to our group. And at first, it didn't go over well because like now I have my owl symbols and I tell people symbols are just not unless it's made directly like the Baphomet is designed for something, because you can design your own sigils.
Yeah.
But the power that it is time for us to learn and see what they're doing, right? And that's been my whole voice for the last 6-7 months, telling people we got to learn it. Let's study it. Let's see how they're ruling this world. But you can get that same power and information and do it the right way, of course, right? The wealth of the wicked, however you want to call it. So now I'm not telling us to go and say, okay, we're going to start doing that other stuff, because that's a whole nother level. Satanic, it's all kind of ritualistic stuff, and it's just a bigger aspect. But once again, these people are now revealing that they've been having a plan. They have a plan of how to, what's the word? The mentality that we're walking around with, Billy, is, I got to go make money. These people run a philosophy of taking money.
Yes.
This is how we need to do it now. We got to take money because we ain't making it. They have a way of printing as much as they need. They run the banks. They have the banking system or whatever it's called, where they can do the 10% this, and that. I forget the name of the terminology. But they're making money. We got to take money, y'all.
Yeah.
They're making it. Yeah.
They are scraping the earth dry for all resources and all the revenue that they can take and make off of us. They're taking every penny they possibly can. They're monetizing themselves off the sweat of the backs of the workers like ourselves. They're taking that tax money, and what they're doing is they are triple dipping, not double dipping, they're triple dipping. So they'll take the money from us working, our employment tax, our income tax, right? They take the income tax, they invest that money and other taxes on other products and services into the war machine. So that's free technology and free warmongering. They then take that and implement that war machine against the country. Like, for example, they go to Venezuela, right?
Yep.
Now, they took our money to pay and fund Venezuela. They go in there, they take the president, abduct him and his wife, they take over the country, and they start stealing that oil. Now, I got to ask you a question, Roderick. Do we get a questionnaire to get our direct deposit information for the profit margins on this oil? Did we get a direct deposit request? Because I didn't. Nobody said to me, Hey, thank you, Billy and Roderick, for your contribution to this war effort. We're going to give you 1/18% every month on the royalties for this oil that we just stole from Venezuela. Where's our money? Where's our cut?
Yeah, and and another psyops of that, I think, me being a UFO investigator, and of course, if y'all didn't know, on 11 different TV shows about UFOs, and of course, the book Billy and I have, and he wrote the foreword on this book. But listen, and I'm going to sign those copies at the event. But here's what I want to tell you all: if you all remember back when we had those drones in New York, y'all remember that, right? And everybody was talking about these truck life-size big drones, and the government saying how they was undetectable, and then they were like, oh, it could be China. And people, let me tell y'all, if China had done that, lights out, right? Because there is not another country on the planet got a more fierce military might than the United States. So don't y'all believe none of that stuff, right? Even those other people fighting off those other people using our old stuff, and they're still hanging in there. But
Yeah.
here's what I'm going to say: when they test stuff like that, they have to test it, these multinational corporations. So they put it in test, the same technology they used on Venezuela. They put it in test on us months before in New York, those drones flying around, undetectable and all that. And you remember Venezuela said they came in with some stuff, drones and things that we didn't even see them coming. And that was the psyop. So this stuff is planned long time ago, So they tested on us first, like whatever they tested now, whether it's the stuff that they doing, all of this stuff that they want to use elsewhere, because they're not going to show it on another country, because that is an act of war. But they use us as guinea pigs, get that problem reaction solution that David Icke talks about all the time, and soon as that Venezuelan thing happened, and even their military was like, "Oh, whoa!" They just came in out of nowhere, and it was those same drones that they sent in that was undetectable, the same stuff that was flying over New York that they were
Yep.
testing on us. But to show that they're willing to, what's the word I'm looking for? Take a president and his wife from another country and replace the authoritative word there, that is not by happenstance. That is a whole new game plan. And I think you're going to see a lot of people doing that pretty soon. A lot of countries, everybody is fighting for control of us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, when we go and we invade another country and we either take out and assassinate and bomb them and steal their resources, or abduct them and steal their resources, we call it a preemptive strike. But if they came over here to try to do the same thing to us, what do we call it? An assassination attempt, an overthrow attempt. See how they got the wordplay? Very specific wording and phrases that they use to manipulate our minds to get us to see things in a way that's propagandized, so that it's always outside. We go to Iran, it's preemptive, because they were gonna nuke us. When were they gonna nuke us? They were never gonna nuke us. They've been saying the same thing for 40 freaking years.
Yep.
40 years, over and over and over and over again. But they say it so much as predictive programming. They say so much is embedded into the subconscious. And fortunately, though, Roderick, fortunately, I think so many people are waking up. Nobody believes the bullshit anymore. I mean, there are some people that believe it, but there's a decent fraction. There's a decent sized fraction of people that are going, well, when I saw Tucker Carlson turn,
Oh, yeah, that was a big one. That was
a big one. I saw Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan turn. I said,
now Megan Kelly, Megan is getting there a little bit now. So yeah.
Yeah, Megan's turning. But so what's happening is people are coming to the point now where they're going, okay, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me a third time, forget it. I just got my head in the sand. And I think there's enough people, that's not everyone, but there's a fraction of people that are starting that have good platforms, that are starting to make a lot of noise and expose, like, wait a goddamn minute, something ain't right here. This is bullshit. And I think enough of those people on those big platforms are also now trickling down to some of the other ones. And they're finally getting to see what you and I have been talking about for a couple of decades now. That, there's so much going on behind the scenes. Like I said in that document, the illusion is so great it will escape your perception. But now awareness of what's going on it makes the illusion fall apart. So the illusion is collapsing all around them to where Trump gets on today and says, I've been negotiating with Iran and I'm not going to drop a bomb on them now, but we're in great negotiation. You know, Iran is not negotiating with no Donald Trump. They also made a statement. They're not negotiating with America about anything.
Yeah.
They call them the Epstein clan. They're not negotiating with the Epstein clan. They understand that Trump is up here shooting propaganda because he got his ass beat. Iran whooped us like runaway slaves. They got Trump out here. He was saying Kunta Kinte, but they beat him so bad now he's saying Toby. And and he's making up fabricated stories about, you know, how he's a great negotiator now. We're not going to bomb them anymore. No, what happened was Iran said, if you guys keep attacking, we're going to blow up all the water desalination plants in the Middle East. And that means hundreds of millions of people will die within the next few months. And so he realized he'll have the whole world after him. So he had to pull back. And his PR people gave him this great story to tell about what kind of negotiations that they're under. They're under no negotiations.
Yeah,
but
they're
the
not
reason is because the majority of people now know he's making stuff up. They now know that it's false, it's a lie. He hadn't talked to Iran. Iran is in zero negotiations with Donald Trump. And they're beginning to see behind the bullshit, they're beginning to recognize it's all a fairy tale. And that's the best part about all of this.
Yeah, I think what they're now, again, I am 25 times 2 plus 3 plus 3. Okay, for those of you. But when I was, 19 years old, I worked for the government. I had a secret clearance. And that was at the time that Saddam Hussein had invaded Kuwait. And how I got my clearance was that this was the only surprise that we ever had. He surprised us. And usually when you have to have a secret clearance, they have to do a background check. Well, some of the older people that was 30 and 40 and 50 years old, it takes months. Could take 6 months or a year. So they had this elaborate plan and say, hey, let's go get a bunch of 18-year-olds because you go back to 18. And so, but we stayed on those programs for about 2 years. And that's when I really saw, that was back then, how we had satellite systems that they can read this ink pen from space almost, right? And we had laser guided bombs that would drop right through a windshield of a truck from way up there. And where I'm going with this is our technology is so advanced, but Iran decided to say, you know what? We're going to play a financial game with y'all though. We gonna play where it really hurts. Since y'all want to control the world with this dollar bill that you have, we're gonna mess with everybody. And another part of that, I think, where a lot of people missing is that our bases are in all these other places, right? Dubai, and not Dubai, but Saudi Arabia, all these countries that we have military people there. And then Iran says, you know what, we're gonna bomb them too. And we're going to show y'all that Trump is not going to defend y'all, and because he's not, right? And so they playing a whole nother game. Yeah, they know that we can send some stuff over there and do that, but they know that they're going to hit us where it hurts, and that is our financial market, which is, can now activate crypto. It can activate all of that stuff. And matter of fact, it can activate these shares that you got that's going up overnight now with this new merger that we need to tell them about, and it's just all of these things, because war is not about destruction, people. War is about rebuild. That's where the money is made. When they go back in there and say, oh, we got to clean all this up. And we got to now all the new people come in, they buy the land, all this money goes into making money, re-beautifying the place. Destruction, there's no money in destruction. It's money in the rebuild after destruction. It's the same thing as having a bad relationship and you rebuild a new one, right? So it's like, that's where the greatness is. But that's how they play the game.
Oh yeah, that's what they're all about, And I talked about, I think it was 6 months ago now, I talked about Venezuela. I talked about the invasion of Venezuela and the government using that as a route to get to Cuba, and the Israeli influence on that they've been wanting to get Cuba since the 1970s, 1960s technically, and Operation Northwoods and JFK blocked that from happening. It was approved event with a false flag attack against Americans in Miami and Washington, D.C., where the American government, this is declassified documentation, was going to unalive people in Miami and D.C. and blow up some civilian commercial planes with people on them and then blame it on Cuba and
Yep.
use that as the impetus to obviously go and rush Cuba, take them over, and turn it into our new Western Israel. And JFK blocked it. It was approved all the way to the Joint Chief of Staff approved and signed off on this, by the way. And it only didn't happen because JFK said hell no. And of course, a few weeks later, JFK was unalived.
Yep.
And now they finally found someone to do their bidding. And now that Trump has definitely been beat the crap out of Iran, I think he finally realized that blowing up helpless people in tents in Gaza isn't the same as going to war against a real country. And so, but they're going to back off and get back to the easy low hanging fruit, which is going to be Cuba. And it's for the reason you said, the cleanup, to go in there, level it off. A lot of people are dying in Cuba right now. I think last night in Cuba, over 200 people died in hospitals.
Wow.
There's no power.
Yeah, because their power's off. Yeah.
There's no. And the reason why the power's off is because Trump has an embargo and cut off the flow of oil to Cuba. Cuba needs oil to power their electric grid. So their electric grid is down, and what he's doing right now is a genocide against Cuban people. There are people dying right now in droves because they don't have electricity and no running water. Pestilence is running amok. People that were on ventilators and so forth, and people who have illnesses that require medicated, refrigerated medication.
Yep.
Their medications are failing because they're not refrigerated anymore. So there are literally hundreds of people passing away every single day in Cuba. This is another form of a genocide that nobody's really aware of at this moment. And then they're going to go in there, level it, clean up all the dead bodies, throw them in a mass grave, and they're going to go and rebuild and construct high rises on the ocean front and make it into a resort place. And people are going to be booking vacations there, and they're going to make billions of dollars on converting it into a gigantic vacation palisades. And in the inner areas of the island, I guess that's where a lot of these Israelis are going to move there and live there. That's according to their agenda and their plan. But this is some dark stuff, man. Really dark. Really dark.
And the banks who control everything is going to make money because they get to lend them the money. You know, everybody, construction companies to technology companies to all of it in their elite classes, and then it'll trickle down. They all says, okay, drop more bombs. Oh, you need to drop bombs over there on that ocean side over there. We can rebuild, because at this point the people got to sell out. The same thing they did with the California fires, right? They you know, got all those fires in the right place in Malibu, and then they came back in and started buying these people out, and now street worth 4 times as more, right? So it's destruction, and that's what I think people want to start paying close to. Everywhere they're going to bomb, start looking and decoding the why, not what is happening, but why it's happening. And don't believe what they say is happening. Go deeper. And it's all about money. It's all about money.
It's all about money. Everyone, you can come and see me and Robert or Roderick and I in person in Dallas, Texas, April 11th. I've been dropping the link in the live chat in this entire podcast. There's also a link in the caption of this video. The link is in my bio. It's also on the screen, entertruth.com. We want to go a lot deeper on these topics. We want to speak in a way and say things that we just can't say on these open platforms. We'd love you to be there. We'd love you to be a part of this. We'd love you to be on the live stream as well. It'll be a closed circuit live stream where we can really talk and say things that we can't say on these platforms. And for reasons that you know of already, we can't say them. But
I don't think they really understand it, because you know how we get those texts. Oh, why you just don't tell us? Like, really tell you that, and then they cut our whole channels off and family, whatever. And but then when you do offer them an opportunity to get some stuff, and I'm gonna go ahead and just break this out, y'all. It's only a space for 100 people, even in the room and live. Okay, we got a small because we wanted to make it intimate, and so if you're gonna watch it live, you know, there's 800 people in here right now. If half of them decide, not even half, but if 50 of these people decide that they want to watch it live today and go ahead and get it, that, and the people that's already bought it live coming is out. I'm just saying,
it's out.
So
That's it. It's a small group. Very small.
Small group.
Yeah.
And it ain't expensive. And we're not talking less than half a coffee a day. You know how much you spend on coffee, y'all? And so I'm just giving y'all, I'm just handing it out to y'all, whatever.
Yeah.
But entertruth.com, you can go pick the live option to watch it live. That's your bag up. Like he got 2 planes, so he ain't gonna miss and come.
Yeah.
So at least you know if you ain't gonna fly down here, you got your bag up that you're gonna be watching and 4 hours. And it's just going to be powerful. And Bill, I can't wait, man. And like I said, we're going to go deep with a lot of the conversation. We're going to be sitting just kind of there, kind of talking a little bit. I don't know if I can kind of show them. Let me see if I can do this just for a second.
Yeah.
I may be able to.
Fireside chat style. I'm getting ready to hop on the plane in a few hours myself.
Okay. Am I not on stage anymore? No.
Oh, where are you?
I don't know. You probably could put me back on there. I changed something up. So
you're not up there anymore. Where'd you go, Roderick?
Hang on.
I can't add you back for some reason. That's strange.
I'm somewhere a little bit, right? You see me?
There you go. Well, there you're gone again.
Let's see.
They're messing with us today already on this thing.
Well, there's some of me a little bit. You see me a little bit, right?
Yeah. Got you some a little bit there. That's strange.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do that. Nope. Then you went away, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe that's our cue of getting out of here. So,
Yeah, we're missing one of the options. It disappeared just now.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's our cue. So we're gonna get you on a plane, and then we're gonna get out of here. Okay. And
absolutely. I got to get packed up and get to this airport.
Yeah. All right. So I appreciate everyone coming out, and yeah, man. And we'll talk soon, and then we'll do a few more lives before that, y'all, and give y'all some more updates. So, but anyway, man, have a good flight. People always be asking me like, "Hey, was it a good flight?" Or like, "It didn't crash." That's a good flight. You know what I'm saying?
That's always a great flight.
That's the greatest flight you can have. It didn't crash. I'm not worried about that now. So, but either way, all right, brother. Have a safe trip, man, and we'll talk. Okay.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks, man. Peace.
All right, same here.